The Tattooed General. The Citadel of Sovereigns was the shining heart of the Galactic Empire's military might, a megastructure suspended in geostationary orbit over the Empire's throne world, glowing with a lattice of docking arms and weapon silos. Inside, it was a fortress of order and arrogance, where uniforms were sharper than blades and the hierarchy tighter than a neutron core. So, when General Katia Volchkova strode down the Grand Hall of Command Assembly, boots echoing against obsidian marble, she didn't fit in. She wasn't clad in imperial white or navy. Her armor was matte black, patched in places, etched with combat data and kill tallies. Her left shoulder bore a stylized insignia, a hut perched atop skeletal chicken legs, surrounded by curling birch trees and tiny skulls. A tattoo crawled from her collarbone up her neck, a swirling knot of ink that resolved into a grinning skull nestled in dark branches. The chamber fell into a murmur. Primitive, unprofessional, a walking ghost story. Katia heard all. She didn't care. She stopped before the throne-like platform where High Admiral Clivar lounged, a paragon of imperial eugenics. He was tall, translucent-skinned, eyes glimmering with neural implants. "You're the Coalition's envoy?" Clivar asked, voice smooth but mocking. "I am," Katia said. Her Slavic accent wasn't thick, but the edge of frost was unmistakable. "General Volchkova, 6th Theater, Human Coalition." "You don't look like a general," muttered a silver-uniformed aide. "I look like a survivor," she replied, flatly. "That's more than can be said for many of your admirals lately." Clivar arched an eyebrow. "Careful, General. Your tone is quaint. So, is your understanding of the enemy," she shot back. "The Zarn aren't just another hive. They don't follow conventional doctrine. They think in frequencies, emotions, patterns. They get inside your mind before they ever touch your walls." He waved a hand dismissively. "We've broken hives before. This one is no different." Katia's jaw tightened. "It is different," she said. "You're fighting a species that feeds on predictability. Your formations, your pride, your assumption of superiority. That's what they use against you. You need to become something they can't pattern. You need terror. Dissonance. You need." She touched the edge of her tattoo. "A story they can't analyze." Laughter erupted around the chamber. "A story," one general sneered. "Is that tattoo supposed to scare them?" Another chuckled. "Isn't that Earth folklore? Some swamp witch in a walking chicken house." Katia didn't blink. "Baba Yaga, a forest spirit. The kind that eats soldiers who get lost in the woods." "Oh, we're doomed," someone muttered sarcastically. She smiled thinly. "Only if you keep pretending you're not already lost." 6 hours later, observation deck. Lieutenant Rana, a young Imperial tactician, found Katia standing alone, hands clasped behind her back as she looked down at the planet below, the Zarn-contaminated moon, Holophon. "I'm surprised you didn't push harder in council," Rana said. Katia didn't look at her. "Why would I? Let them burn. Arrogance teaches faster than words." "I don't think you're wrong, ma'am. But the Admiralty would never let a coalition general take the lead." Katia finally turned. "They don't have to. I'm not asking to lead. I'm waiting." "For what?" She tapped her temple, then her tattoo. "For the forest to call me." Rana blinked, uneasy. Deployment. Operation Bright Edge. 3 cruisers and 4 shock divisions launched for Holophon. Katia was reassigned to logistics, kept far from the front. Her data, simulations, and warnings were buried in classified archives. On the surface, the Zarn waited. The Imperials landed in formation, flooded the alien tunnels with ordnance, and declared early victories. For the first hour. Then things changed. Disaster. Signals ceased. Screams bled through encrypted channels. Drones sent back fractured images. Marines weeping blood, hallucinating. Command units self-terminating. Ships abandoning their own ground teams. The moon went dark. From the edge of the command floor, Katia sipped bitter black coffee, watching the chaos unfold on tactical holos. Admiral Clivar burst onto the deck, fury in his eyes. "Give me an explanation." No one spoke. He turned to the only person not panicking. "You. What is this?" Katia tilted her head. "A lesson. His face turned red. You, she interrupted him coldly. You sent rational men into an irrational hell. The Tsar didn't kill your soldiers. You did, by giving them a lie they believed in until it broke them. Clivar shook with rage. What would you have done? Katia walked toward him slowly. I would have shown the Tsar something they couldn't analyze. Something outside logic. Something that lives in the cracks between sanity and myth. She stopped inches from his face. I would have become the thing they fear in the dark. There was silence. Then Rana spoke up, trembling but firm. Let her take command. Clivar hesitated. Another officer added, she's the only one who warned us. More voices joined. Desperate, beaten, willing to try anything. Clivar stared at the tattoo on Katia's neck. It looked different now. Deeper, like it had grown darker under the low light. Fine, he growled. You have one chance. Baba Yaga wakes. Katia strode toward the war table. Clear the screen. The display wiped clean. She placed her gloved hand on the surface and brought up a forbidden file. Red text, blinking. Proto-warfare asymmetry doctrine. Code name, Ali Baba Yaga. Forget your formations, she said. Forget honor. Forget being seen. We're going to turn Holofong into a story they tell their young. The one that makes the hive shake at night. Her voice grew cold. I'm not a general anymore. I'm the witch in the woods. And we're going hunting, the Baba Yaga protocol. 3 days later, Holofong orbit. The Imperial fleet loomed in silence above the moon, scarred from its defeat. Below, the Zarn swarmed, their bioluminescent hives pulsing across the fractured surface, emboldened by their overwhelming victory. And yet, the Zarn were uneasy. They had consumed countless minds from the Imperial Marines, memories, strategies, emotions. But among the wreckage, they found something they could not categorize. A name repeated in terror. A symbol, a house with legs. A skull in the trees. A presence none of their pattern-seeking neurons could replicate. They felt something ancient and irrational ripple through the hive. They called it the anomaly. Katia's war begins. Inside the belly of the stealth cruiser Kashiai, General Volchkova stood before her team. An elite detachment of human black ops soldiers, handpicked for psychological resilience and creative brutality. They wore matte armor without insignia. No rank, no flags, no names. Only one common mark. Her tattoo, etched onto their shoulder plates in red. Her voice cut through the dim red light like a blade. Forget rules. Forget doctrine. You are myths now. Ghosts. When the Zarn come to feed, you will already be inside their minds, screaming. On the monitor behind her, footage played. A Zarn patrol creeping through a tunnel. Suddenly, the image glitched. The walls had changed. They were covered in ancient Slavic symbols. Whispered human lullabies played backwards. Then static. The Zarn had destroyed their own drone in panic. Katia smiled. Begin Phase 1. Phase 1. Planting fear. Katia's team dropped on a Holofong at night. They didn't attack head-on. Instead, they warped reality. They hijacked the Zarn's own frequency network, flooding their communication grid with false signals. Distorted children's laughter, primal shrieks, Earth nursery rhymes in dead languages. Next came the displays. Impaled hive drones, arranged like runes. Blood trails leading to nowhere. Holograms of doors creaking open in airless tunnels. They weren't killing yet. Not often. They were haunting. The Zarn, designed to understand everything, couldn't process it. Their drones began refusing orders. Some disintegrated themselves in confusion. A hive mind can process tactics. It cannot process stories, especially not ones it can't finish. Imperial Observation Post, 72 hours later. Admiral Clivar watched the live feeds in stunned silence. What had been a tide of chaos was now a psychological implosion. They're abandoning hive clusters, Rana reported. Some just melted into inert biomass. No trace of combat. What? Clivar murmured. We didn't even send full regiments. Because she made the jungle haunted, Rana whispered. Clivar turned toward the monitor, showing Katia's squad moving like shadows through the blackened forest, leaving behind strange symbols glowing in ultraviolet. He looked at her symbol. Not a fairy tale. A doctrine. By the stars, he breathed. She is the Baba Yaga. Phase 2. Collapse. Katia now targeted hive queens, not to kill but to drive insane. They broadcast Earth legends directly into their neural pathways using specialized tech, projecting madness, which fire, ancient Slavic poetry encoded into electromagnetic signals. Some queens self-mutilated. Others turned on their own drones. Katia's forces watched from the shadows, never intervening directly unless necessary. The horror was more effective when they didn't attack. One drone recovered from a black forest had gouged its own optics and written, using its claws, a crude HUD on legs. It died shrieking the sound of a human lullaby. The witch enters the hive. Phase 3 was execution. Katia's team located the central node beneath Hollow Fong, a pulsating biomass heart, hundreds of meters across, guarded by the remaining lucid Zarn. This time, she led the infiltration herself. Cloaked in active camouflage, her team moved like predators, silent, precise. The Zarn barely registered their presence before collapsing in twisted heaps of melted exoskeleton. Katia moved with a dancer's grace, her braid coiled like a serpent behind her, her armor painted in bioluminescent veins to mirror the hive walls. She didn't just walk into the Zarn mind. She burned a path into it. Inside the node chamber, she faced the core itself, a great psychic organ twitching in rhythm with the hive. She approached it slowly, then carved her tattoo into the living flesh with a monomolecular blade. "Let them remember this mark," she whispered. Then, she activated a pulse emitter. It didn't kill the hive. It did worse. It left them alive, but broken, flooded with recursive human imagery they couldn't escape. The node collapsed under the weight of its own mind. Aftermath. Back aboard the Kashiai, Katia sat in silence as the ship pulled away from the now-dead moon. Rana appeared, eyes wide. "The Empire has declared you a Class Omega tactician. They want to name a doctrine after you." Katia sipped her black tea. "They already did. It's written in every Zarn hive now." Clivar himself sent a message. No smugness this time. No sneer. Just a single sentence. "You are hereby granted full strategic autonomy for future engagements. The Empire recognizes your methods." She didn't reply. Instead, she looked down at her tattoo. The ink pulsed faintly, as if alive. Epilogue. A new kind of war. The Zarn avoided human sectors after that. Whole hive fleets rerouted away from Earth-aligned systems. In the fringe colonies, whispered tales spread, not from official broadcasts, but from survivors and Black Ops rumors. They spoke of a woman who stalked battlefields in silence. A general who didn't command from a throne, but from the shadows. She did not come with fleets. She came with fear. She came with stories. And if you saw the hut with legs, it was already too late. Thus the Galactic Empire learned. Never mock the old stories. Never laugh at the ink carved in blood. And never, ever underestimate the woman with the forest on her skin. For she was not just a general. She was the Baba Yaga.